My name is Evonda Woodard. I am a senior graphic designer at IPFW, and for my senior thesis, I end up doing a book, illustrated book called Kinky and Proud. Kinky and Proud is a book that I compiled where I took African American women with natural hair and I allowed them to informally and creatively provide me with any entry that they wanted to, whether it was poems, an interview, a short story basically based off an experience they've had with their hair, or any realm of writing that they wanted to do. And I took a piece of it that spoke to me and recreated it into an illustration that expressed a bit of what they've gone through with having natural hair. And I compiled it all into a book that I try to resemble something like a journal. And it was based off 14 different African American women and their natural hair. So, of course, my subtitle for the book was Underneath the Curls. So initially I drew a sketch that was somewhat mysterious, but still kind of give an insight to what the person may look like underneath it. And so for all these sketches, it was just about focusing with the hair covering a majority of the face or the body, but showing just enough for you to be like, oh, that's what she looks like, to add to the whole idea of getting more of an insight into these women's hair story. So these were the sketches for the cover. And then this was the cover that I decided to go with. And then the sketches after these were sketches that were actually influenced by the stories themselves. And what I did was sketch it, and then I had to ink it before I scanned it in to paint it digitally. And you're seeing the process of it sketched and inked, but before the scanning in and the digital paint. I wanted to do something more like a divine creation, so I wanted to do goddesses with different hair texture, because my book is not about tearing down women that hair isn't kinky or curly. It's just that I wanted the focus to be on women with kinky or curly hair, but it's not to tear down anyone else or their choice in how they wear their hair. So. And this one was cutting off the hair, and it's symbolizing a sense of freedom. So I had the hair actually transitioning into birds flying away. It's from an entry where a woman was having issues with her health being a factor as to whether she would be natural or she would have relaxed hair. Because when she had relaxed hair, it would be brittle and fall out really easily. But then when she was natural, she had no issues with her hair. So her health kind of made the decision for her. So I had like a tug of war between the two hair textures, and it being based off her health. And this one was just a woman who is biracial. She's Indian and black, so I wanted to show her her Indian culture within her illustration. So as far as bringing it into the computer, first I was scanning the image, and then once I scanned the image in, I would set up a file and I would change the blending method to multiply. And while it's on multiply, you could paint underneath the layer but still see the individual line work. And so in this one particular, I started off with grayscale, but I've already merged some of my layers, so some of the process you don't really get to see. But I first would change the opacity down to maybe like 15% once I've started painting on it. And then I added makeup, which the makeup, I used various brush tools as well as some shading, but most of the shading was already done on the base layer, and I just had to go over the top for like small details. And then I also went back over it again with more line work, so that way it was more defined. Like before, this is without the line work, and then this is with the line work. And that's just to make it pop even more and make it look more finished without having to do too much more shading. And as far as advice for fellow women with natural hair, or those encouraged or inspired or curious to return natural, very much like it expresses in my book, the advice that I would give is to make the decision for yourself. For me, I know being natural has become a way of becoming more comfortable with who I am and identifying myself as an African American woman, as well as appreciating what makes all of us as individuals unique. So for the women who are still natural or who are not yet natural, I would just say continue on your journey, or for those who haven't yet, take a risk. You may love it once you've ventured into that journey. As far as keeping and going on, it takes a lot of patience, it takes courage, it takes just a willingness to continue on or to start and to become more involved with who you are as a person and loving every bit of yourself from your hair down to your feet. And that's pretty much the whole idea behind this whole book, is just to learn to love and accept yourself.